Ladies and gents, bringing it to you live every single week in the Huddle. Keeping it real every single week, episode 78. And we're keeping it real while football is currently being played. There's a doubleheader tonight, and nonetheless, the show goes on. Week 13, man, oh man, fellas, how we doing today?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. I just want to let everybody know that what makes this show such a good show is that we all have different lifestyles. We like different sports. You see Kenny C, he got the Yankees up there. He got the hockey. Obviously I'm a big boxing guy and basketball and football guy. Cam, I know you know football to your core. Zach, I know you into college basketball. So we love, different sports. But one thing that brings us together is football and the fact that we known each other for a couple years going to the same college. So you're going to get a lot of debates, heated debates at times. Don't be scared if you see us, going at each other, sometimes talking over each other. We try to keep this show very organized, but at the same time, we are different people, and at the same time, we want to show how much we love football, and that's exactly what we're going to do today.
Hey, man, just want to say, man, happy Monday to all of you guys. As always, man, it's always an honor and a pleasure speaking football with you guys. Football is brotherhood. And on this show, it's all about brotherhood on this show. And can't wait to talk some football with you guys tonight, and let's get it.
Yeah, Cam, that's a great point. I was actually thinking about it yesterday. I remember going into yesterday, everyone was like, the NFL schedule, it's not really that good. Like, are we going to have anything to talk about on Monday? And then that final hour of Red Zone was just on fire. And I'm not going to lie, I was thinking about you guys when that hour was going by. Really excited for today's show.
I was just praying for one more chance, And we hit Darren on a big play on a little corner stop thing. And put ourselves in position, with 7 seconds left. I couldn't believe they all out blitzed us. But as soon as I saw it, man, I was thankful.
Yes, sir. And something that Zach and Cam can still pretty much be hyped about, even though it's an L, in the craziest fashion, is the Las Vegas Raiders defeating the New York Jets 31-28 on that 46-yard bomb, wide open Henry Ruggs go-ahead score. Did the Jets purposely tank at the end of the game, or was this just flat-out bad play calling?
Well, here's the thing, guys. It's funny because I feel like Cam and I could relate in a sense that we've rooted for the Jets for a couple of years now, pretty long time, and we've seen it all. And the thing about you guys, Will and Kenny C, you're a Packer guy. That's a winning franchise. I can't tell you the last time they've finished under 500 in the season. Will, you've been supporting the Patriots the last 20 years. We all know how that's went. But I've never experienced a team having the option to tank, and it's a very weird feeling rooting against your own team, but knowing it's what's best. And for me, that's kind of how I felt yesterday. I was watching the game, and I think over the last couple of weeks, there have been some things for the Jets that have looked pretty good that in the beginning of the season, we didn't necessarily know if it was going to be the case, but as the team is starting to get a little more healthier, I do think that the development of Denzel Mims has been a really nice positive. I think Kai Becton and the way the offensive line has played has been really nice. There have been some guys on the defense that have been okay, and I feel like next year, if we do get our hands on Trevor Lawrence and a really good coach, if you look at what teams like Cleveland and Miami are doing right now, I don't think the Jets could be, that far off. But at the same time, as in regards to yesterday's game, you play to win the game. And it was scary because the Jaguars were in overtime with the Vikings as the Jet game is ending. And as Jet fans, we're obviously rooting for the Jaguars because we're only one game up on them. And at the same time, when Carr hits Ruggs for the deep touchdown, for half a second, I was like, maybe was that on purpose? Maybe. But then I did see today that there was a report on NFL Network that dropped that Adam Gase apparently was on the sideline talking to another coach when the play was going on. And then as the ball was being snapped, someone heard cover zero. And then he turns around, and the next thing you know, Henry Ruggs is in the end zone. So I believe that report. There's no reason for me not to. And, it's just another day being a Jet fan.
I'm just going to keep it real. I'm not going to sugarcoat nothing. Greg Williams, bring that ass here, boy. How dare you? How dare you? 13 seconds left in the game. You decide to go a cover zero. No safety help. You like, hey, let's go man to man. And you know that the Raiders have one of the fastest receivers in the league in Henry Ruggs. And he decided to go cover zero and boom, give up a 46-yard touchdown. And that sealed the game. Honestly, I blame Adam Gase. But most importantly, I bring Greg Williams. In that type of situation, you're supposed to play prevent defense. You're supposed to make sure all your corners, even your safeties, are playing off the ball, at least 10 yards off the ball, and make sure that you don't get anything past deep. But yesterday, I was disappointed. I really thought that we was going to get our first win of the season yesterday. Sam Darnold had a blast, had a multi-touchdown game. He finally threw his first touchdown since week 3 of this year, and I really thought that we had the game in the bag, but unfortunately, came up short.
Oh, man, bro. If this ain't jokes, I don't know what is. Look, my dad came up from Florida for the weekend, so I got to watch the game with my father, just like old times, every Sunday watching the game with my father. And to see this happen, watching the game with my father, it was unreal because when Henry Ruggs caught that touchdown, I kid you not, my dad said unbelievable 10 straight times. Unbelievable. 10 times, 10 straight times. Like, we didn't have no words to say. But look, man, the Jets had put their fans in a bit of a dilemma. You have fans that wanted them to win the game, obviously, the integrity of winning a football game. You play to win. You know the Herm Edwards saying.
You play to win the game. Hello? You play to win the game.
You play to win the game, and I guess that's one side of the Jets fan base wanted to win. The other side, after the game was over, I see dudes celebrating, a video on Twitter going around, Jets fans celebrating like this was the return of Jesus Christ. Like, yeah, we lost. And it's just crazy how, as a Jet fan, you could try to root for your team to lose. But I understand why. I know a lot of people, look at Trevor Lawrence as a messiah. So winning that game, obviously, would not have helped the Jets. So the Jets was in a win-lose situation anyway. Had they won the game, Sports Talk Radio on Monday would have been like, well, that's the Jets thing to do. Win a game when you're trying to tank, right? And be left with the number 3 pick. They can't choose Justin Fields or Trevor Lawrence. They would have gotten it anyway, So the fact that they lost, they still got it. Even though we know Greg Williams to be aggressive, I think they were trying to tank, man. I got to be real with you. I think they were trying to tank because the play before, Nelson Aguilar was running in the end zone, and they overthrew him. So that let me all I need to know. That should have been right there. Like, look, you just almost let them score. We gotta do something. They let them score after that. Come on.
But when you say they're trying to tank, who is they? The coaching, the GM, the owner?
I'm talking about the organization. Maybe there was a
word. Whose
decision
is it?
Maybe the word. Let me answer this question, KDC. Maybe the word. Listen, from somewhere, somehow, somebody was trying to tank on that team. I don't know who it was. Maybe it was Greg Williams. Maybe he was taking one for the team. But somebody was trying to tank. All right.
He lost his job. I don't like.
See, that's where I'm going to get in here.
Maybe he took one for the team.
I have to respectfully disagree with Leo, because if you look at the coaching staff, they're not going to play to make the Jets better next year when they're not even going to be there. Gase is not going to be there. Greg Williams got fired after the game. If they planned on keeping him, he wouldn't have gotten fired after the game. It would have been a collective, let's tank together and let's do this, rather than, all right, you get the damn boot. Because quite frankly, if I'm going to be honest, that's a bonehead-ass play call, and we all know Greg Williams to be very reckless. At the end of the season, I didn't see this guy staying with the organization anyways, but for them to cut him when they did, and they haven't fired Gase yet, that tells me that this was not a tank and that this was just flat out, you made a horrible call, you're going to get cut anyway at the end of the year, get the hell off the team. Because why would Greg Williams throw the game when he knew in his head that he's probably not even going to be here anyway?
Yeah, and if they won, they would
still not going to be here. He could be a DC for another team playing against Trevor. So he wouldn't want to help them get Trevor.
But look, listen, you were going to get fired anyway. So you mean to tell me the Jets didn't tank all year? You mean to tell me the Jets, there was no such thing as tanking in that organization? I find it hard to believe.
The first person they'll go after is the head coach. That's number one.
I mean, yeah, Gase is undoubtedly the main reason for a massive collapse.
I think our perception of tanking is very different. I think with the Jets, here's what happened. I think that the GM, Joe Douglas, realized that when he looked at this roster, all right, fair enough. Like, we're not making the playoffs this year. I think we all knew that.
Yeah.
So I think he looked at this roster and said, look, we traded Jamal Adams for a reason, to get those picks back, to build towards the future. So it's very different between the GM tanking and the players on the field, or the coaches tanking. Because I agree with Kenny C. There is no reason why Greg Williams purposely lost them the game yesterday, because he just got fired today. He lost his job. If the Jets win yesterday, maybe he still has a job and maybe he's collecting a couple more paychecks. Same thing with Adam Gase. I mean, he's still the coach, but at the same time, that's Greg Williams' defense, and he does take responsibility for it. When you're an NFL player, you're a cornerback named Lamar Jackson. Has anyone heard of a cornerback named Lamar Jackson before yesterday? No.
Undrafted.
No, you're trying to make a name for yourself in the league, and that definitely did not help his cause. So no, I do not think the Jets tank.
Listen, first of all, anybody with obvious sense that know, you don't even have to know the game of football to know what play to call in that situation. Like I said, look at the play before. Nelson Aguilar could have ended the game the play before. So I just find it sus that, they just leave this guy one-on-one on the island by himself, and it's a shame because he's taking the guy that got fired, Greg Williams, obviously. That's that. All right, what do you think I'm talking about, Zach?
That's the problem with Greg Williams. He has this old school philosophy where this is what we're gonna do.
You mean old fool philosophy?
He's a bonehead, bro. He's a bonehead.
I just saw a stat that, so you guys remember, when I think of Greg Williams, Kenny C, I'm sure you're right on the same boat as me. When I think of Greg Williams, I think of those same teams when he was responsible for the bounty, and he was a good defensive coordinator, but since then he's been on 3 different defensive staffs, and none of them have had a winning record or made the playoffs. So
and all of them have been known for dirty ass plays.
Yeah, exactly.
Zach and Kenny C. Yes, we know the resume, and the resume speaks for itself, right? But at the same time, this is situational football, right? You expect on the last play of the game that you know what to do and know how to put your guys in the best predicament to win the daggone football game. If you listen to Derek Carr, we couldn't believe that they all out blitzed us. I mean, they got a Christmas present yesterday, literally, wrapped up, trying to make the playoffs.
For me, that just tells me that tells me everything we already knew, that our defensive coordinator sucks, our head coach sucks, and we need a clean house. And that's why.
And if they were tanking this whole game, then they wouldn't have been able to be as resilient as they were, with Darnold having 3 bad turnovers and them still fighting to stay in the game and win it. I mean, the last play comes down to Greg Williams. You're an idiot, and like you said with the report, that shows Gase how much leadership he has. He's not even looking at the damn play. So I just think that was just the stupidity of Greg Williams. I mean, that's why he doesn't have a job today. And just for the sake of...
The last thing I'm going to say before you go ahead, Kenny C. Trevor, what you going to do? What you going to do when we tank for you? That's all I'm going to say.
Some Giants football. The Daniel Jones-less Giants defeated the Seattle Seahawks 17-12 in Seattle. Should the Giants get more credit for the W, or should the Seahawks be more disappointed in the L?
The Giants absolutely have to get more credit for the W, and I'm going to tell you why. Nobody gave the Giants a shot. People went as far as saying if Daniel Jones was playing, they still would lose. This has to be the biggest upset of the year. Not to mention you have 5 rookies playing and getting defensive snaps on the defensive side of the ball. 4 of those 5s were guys taken in the 6th round or later, or undrafted. And they came out there and they balled. They sacked Russell Wilson 5 times. They pressured Russell Wilson. Ladies and gentlemen, come on. Seattle has the ball with 1 minute left to go in Russell Wilson's hand. At home. The thing that came to my mind was Seattle was going to score and win the daggone game. Because they rarely lose at home. And let's say the Seahawks offense was struggling, which it was. Against the Vikings, it was struggling for a half. But once Russell Wilson got the ball at the end of the game, they won the game. So you know Russell Wilson is going to score and try to win the game. And they stopped Russell Wilson. They sacked him on that drive. So the credit has to go to the Giants defense because they have been playing good throughout the whole year. And as I pull up my stats, Porter Coughlin played 62% of the snaps, had 3 solo tackles. The Seahawks were 4-13 on 3rd downs and turned the ball over twice, right? And the Giants allowed fewer than 21 points for the 4th consecutive game. So the Giants defense absolutely have to have credit, and shout out to the running backs, Goldman and Alfred Morris. We got to talk about the running backs later, but I'm going to let the rest of the fellas get in here.
Yeah, Will, I'm going to have to agree. All the credit goes to the Giants and the way they played, man. I was so impressed with the heart they showed with Colt McCoy at quarterback, and I feel like a lot of the credit has to go to Joe Judge because you guys know the Giants start off their season 0-5, and here in New York, everyone was saying, is this a guy, another coach that's really going to fail for this New York Giants organization? He was the special teams coordinator for the Patriots. No one has ever heard of him. Early in the season, he made his players start over again, which apparently not a lot of people liked. They started practice over. So the way this Giants team has responded has been super impressive. And Will, you were right on when you were talking about the defense. That is a top 8 unit in the league. Kenny C and I have been talking about that for the past month, really, since that Buccaneer game, that this Giant defense was really improving. And look, man, Colt McCoy deserves credit. The Giants defense deserves credit. And it's funny because going into this week, I was actually about to hop on that Seahawks bandwagon. Will, I remember a couple weeks ago, we were recording talking about who's winning the NFC West, Seahawks or Rams, and I was ready to hop on that Seahawks bandwagon with you. But it's interesting because their defense was fine. And I feel like if you're Seattle, that's the one thing you got to take away from this is that this is like the, fourth game in a row that their defense has played pretty solid. So I'll give them credit there. But props to the Giants. I think everyone talks about the NFC East as a laughingstock division. I think right now, I was surprised the Giants won yesterday, but I wasn't shocked. They're a really good defense. Joe Judge is a really good coach. They have the ability to frustrate you, and I do think they are a threat in the playoffs to win a game. I really do.
Yeah, man. All credit to Joe Judge and his Giants. I mean, I brought it up last week. Going 0-5, you lost Barkley week 2. Jones is tied or leading the league for turnovers. This team just looked like absolute trash. And then a spark was lit, and since the Bucs game, the defense has been red hot, like you fellas are saying. And, like Leo said, prior to this game, none of us here, I don't think, or any average football fan would have said, no Daniel Jones, and they're in Seattle with Colt McCoy that has to uplift and keep the offense in it against Russell Wilson. There's no shot. And they went in there and they manhandled Russell Wilson. They made big plays when they needed to. Peppers had that big sack, forcing the 3-and-out early. Lelos recovered the fumble on the third down snap in the first half. The first half. Darnay Holmes with the second half, fourth quarter pick. Leonard Williams with the game-ending play, the game-ending sack on 3rd and long. I mean, this Giants defense was resilient the entire game. And like Leo said, we could talk more about how much this backfield was huge because first half, I mean, Colt McCoy in that offense, you're thinking at some point Russell Wilson is going to step up and this is going to be a blowout the way they were playing. But all props to that defense. What a hell of a performance, and they kept Wilson in check the whole game. So I definitely think we got to give Big Blue some credit.
Honestly, I'm just going to join the bandwagon with you guys too. Honestly, I got to give the Giants credit. Like I said, every year it's always been some Giants bullshit. They've been to after, Tom Coughlin, they've been to, what's his name? Pat Shermer. I forgot the other guy that was.
Benny McAdoo.
Yeah, Ben McAdoo. There you go. But I really thought that when the Giants first hired Joe Judge, I was like, who is this guy? A special team coordinator as your next head coach? That must be interesting. But what I can say about the Giants team, that team played with urgency, especially their defense. So in other words, if the offense could have a crappy ass game, the defense will still, keep the game alive just to ensure that, hey, no matter what, we may bend, but I said we will not break. And honestly, they just did a great job. I'm not sure if you guys noticed one thing about Colt McCoy. Whenever he does get a start, he magically end up winning a game, like good games at that. I remember when he was in Washington a few years ago, he played a Monday night game and he upset it. I forgot either it was the Dallas Cowboys or the Eagles, but he came in there and it was unexpected. I think RG3 or Kirk Cousins got hurt that year, and Colt McCoy came in and won the game for them on a Monday night, which was a shocker. And when I saw that Colt McCoy was starting, it wasn't a bit of a surprise because, he's been in the league for over a decade now. So he knows the game, he knows the system. And I'm just happy that he just managed the game and put the Giants in a situation to win and to get their fourth consecutive win yesterday.
And another thing I want to say is that Gorman had a hell of a third quarter. He ended up finishing the game with 135 yards, him and Morris. So I think the big loser here, other than the Seahawks, obviously, has to be Saquon Barkley, because at some point, Saquon Barkley is going to want to get paid. And, if you can't pay him, you're not going to be able to pay all three guys, So that's who I think is a big loser here, because he's gonna want to get paid, and they see what they got in Goldman and Morris, and teams that go to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl, they don't have the greatest running backs. So what do y'all think about that?
Well, Will, I'll tell you this. I think I'm going to piggyback off that point. I'll tell you who I think the biggest loser in that equation might be. And it's funny because this guy's moves have really been nice, but that's Dave Gettleman. I feel like if he didn't draft Saquon Barkley at number 2 overall, I feel like this Giant team could be even better than they are right now. And Gettleman deserves some credit for some of the moves he's made. James Bradbury is playing like an all-pro cornerback. Blake Martinez, the former Packer, Fackrell, the former Packer, both playing really well. Leonard Williams. So Gettleman deserves some credit for the way that defense has been rebuilt. But it's just unfortunate that Barkley has been hurt. And look, Wayne Gallman's always been a player. Since he's been at Clemson, he's always been super dynamic. I'm happy he's finally getting a shot. And I'm really I'm a Jet guy, and I'm not, always the biggest Giant guy, but I'll root for them to do well. I think they're a really enjoyable team to watch. I think they're a really enjoyable team to root for. And especially when, as a Jet fan, not really being able to root for anyone, I think it's a great story. I'm happy.
Yeah, and especially with the way Goldman was running in that third quarter, it wasn't just, all right, the Giants offense is blocking effectively, there's wide open holes. No, he made shifty moves in the backfield. His cuts were on point. I mean, he was making some great plays and set up that scoring drive with 8 minutes in the fourth where Morris then punched it in. So, yeah, him and Morris, Morris, the vet, man, caught the second touchdown that they had for that lead to extend it to 17-5. So both of them did their part, and we all know, the old school Morris home run swing touchdown celebration since he was on Washington. So, this is a 1-2 punch that I'm not going to say it's anywhere near, because it still has to pan out, but anywhere near the Jacobs-Bradshaw days. But, it gives you some flashes with the way they've been playing. And I like your point, too, Zach, with Barkley. Even today on the Michael K. show, they were saying if Goldman and Morris continue to play like this, you don't need a Barkley to win the Super Bowl. As great as he is, you don't really
New England, how much, what are their running backs' name where they won a Super Bowl with? So
exactly.
You really don't. The only thing is that you invested, that second round pick. You went with that second pick in the draft. You went with Saquon Barkley, and that's an elite talent. You knew there was something special about him. It's just that he's not a great blocker, and that. Listen, you don't need to pay him that much money. And I think the Cowboys made a mistake if you stayed in that division with paying Ezekiel Elliott, but that's another topic for another day.
And I feel Joe Judge, since coming from New England, I guess another key to this too is a system. There's a system that's in place that's working out in the favor of the Giants now. So that's how I believe, just like you guys said, mentioned Blake Martinez, Leonard Williams, picking up all these guys that we thought was going to be washed up or we probably will never hear again. Joe Judge is using them to their advantage to show that, hey, they're working my system, and pretty much finding guys that fits the system, that fits the playing style, I would say.
Yeah, and one last thing. Imagine if in that draft, Zach and Cam, they go with Quentin Nelson instead of Barkley, and how crazy that could have been if they had that extra piece on the offensive line. But, they have their guy right now in Thomas. But overall, man, Giants just doing big things right now, and we'll see how they handle the Cardinals.
Follow this format, man. We watch out, but like and subscribe, y'all. What's going on with the views, man? I gotta talk to the American people right now. Y'all better like this video and share this damn video with a sports fan, because we bringing great content and we want the views to show for it.
I said, come on now, the same way that you guys can support your favorite celebrities, come on, show us some love too, feel me? We're growing. We probably not be up there yet, but we're still growing, feel me? To show us some love, subscribe, comment, share it with your mom, dad, whoever. Show us some love, man.
Share it with at least 2 people. That's the objective. Anybody watching this video, share it with at least 2 people a show. That's the homework, all right? That's the homework for tonight.